Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. For today's preview, as the Springboks take on the Pumas this weekend in a bid to try and win the 2022 Rugby Championship. It will all come down to the final game. No matter what happens in the first game, unless it is an absolute landslide of victory for New Zealand, the Rugby Championship will come down to the match between Springboks and Argentina at Kings Park. Kickoff is at 5 o'clock South African Standard Time, and it should be an absolute cracker because both Argentina and the Springboks will likely need to go out and get bonus point victories, big scores and stuff like that. And I think that it's going to be a game with two teams really having to go at each other. And they picked very, very good teams. And I think it should be an absolutely fantastic spectacle. But before we look at the two sides, please do smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Now, in terms of sort of change from last week and stuff like that, I think we saw a game of quarters, really. I think that in the first half, South Africa very much dominated Argentina. Maybe didn't capitalize to the extent we would have really liked them to have done. If there's, the try before half time had counted, it would have been a completely dominant half. But frustratingly, from a South African perspective, really did allow Argentina back into the game and didn't put them away. And something that's come back to haunt South Africa. And Argentina looked like they were almost going to be able to finally get a result before two late tries really gave South Africa the final sort of reasonable scoreline and bonus point victory. But until then, this Argentina side looked very good. And I think Michael Cheika is very much looking for that 80-minute performance that he saw against New Zealand. He knows that his team has the capacity to go and beat the Springboks. The question is, can they pitch up and get the job done on the day? In terms of the two teams that will be going head-to-head, we'll start with South Africans and a couple of changes, a couple of big names back into the side. First of all, in the starting 15, just the two changes. Pierce du Toit comes into the starting lineup in place of Franco Mossad, so he starts in the number 7 jersey, and then Frans Steyn will start just his second game in a Springbok shirt, the first time in well over a decade since he's played the Springboks in that fly half role. But at the end of the day, it's a needs-must position, and I think whilst he hasn't played there a lot recently, hasn't played there that much over his career, compared to the likes of 15 and 12, Frans Steyn is one of the most talented backline players I think South Africa's ever had the privilege of watching and having at their disposal from a Springbok point of view. So I think if there's one player who can rise to the occasion and be okay and cope with this weekend, it's probably Frans Steyn. And the one thing that we do know about him, he's got an absolute monster of a boot, very good tactically from that perspective, very good goal kicker, very reliable, and he's got all the experience in the world. So I do think that he will go okay at fly half. Apart from that, I think it's a very settled pack, a very strong front row, which was kind of out-scrambled last weekend. So they'll very much want to be changing that and making sure that they sort of get their reputation back as arguably one of the best front rows in the world. In terms of a backline perspective, you want to try and see a lot more from Damien Delende on the front foot. You want to see more ball in hand for Jesse Creel, and hopefully Billy Lou will be able to unlock a little bit of the Argentinian defense this weekend. In terms of off the bench, Bongi Mbambi is back in the 23 from injury. That's a massive boost for South Africa because his absence did leave a very large hole for the Boks. Vincent Koch comes onto the bench, as well as Dwayne Vermeulen, who is back in the mix and will come off the bench as part of the bomb squad. You then got Kwagga Smith, Patrick Clerk, and Kirkley Aronson back after serving his suspension, and he will run out in the 23 jersey. In terms of Argentina, a bit of rotation for Michael Cheika, but a very strong side still. In the front row, it's the same front row that gave South Africa a lot of problems last week. The pack itself was actually unchanged. It's Nahal Chaparro, Julia Montoya, Eduardo Bello, then you've got Maxis Alemano, Thomas Lavanini in the second row, João Martin Gonzalez, Marcus Kremer, and Pablo Matera. I'm really looking forward to the loose trio battle this weekend because I do think it's loose trios which are playing with a lot of confidence. If you look at them, player for player, I don't think there's a lot of difference between the various players within each loose trio, so I think it should be a very interesting battle. Gonzalo Bertino will once again partner Santiago Carreras, but Juan Imhoff, who's got a very, very good history in this game, is into the starting lineup. He was the man who scored a hat-trick back a few years ago when Argentina did win in Durban for the first time. I think I was back in about 2000 and I think it was like 14, about 7 years ago, 7 years ago. In fact, that's about 2015 now these days. But then in the rest of the back line, Geronimo de la Fuente comes in at 12, with Matheus Moroni coming off the bench to the starting lineup. You then got Emmanuel Bafeli and that gun boot of his and Jean Cruz Malia. Off the bench, Augustin Crevi, Michael Vivas, Joel Slavi. You've got then Guido Petty. Then you've got Pedro Rubiolo, who's on debut. Thomas Kubeli, Benjamin Urdipaleta, and Batista Delga. I mean, so much depth in that Argentinian back three. And once again, it's a very strong Argentinian side. Toe to toe, these teams are very, very close. And I think it all comes down to which team pitches up on the day, which team starts well, which team has momentum, which team can keep their discipline. And I think that's an important thing. Discipline's always been an Argentinian issue, but South Africa last week allowed Argentina back in with some pretty poor discipline in the second half. So I think it comes down to which team can be the most disciplined, can see the fewest amount of penalties, and can really try to put the other away. But it should be a really interesting clash. Let me know what you think is going to happen down in the comments below. Please do smash the like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven. I'll chat to you soon.